This old versus new is going to be a very, very different one, because we're not comparing two of the same character, we're comparing two of the same sort of toy, but not exactly, because basically I'm not going to get the Sideburn that's likely going to happen in Legacy Evolution. I'm not going to get it, because I absolutely adore the original Robots in Disguise Sideburn. It was also called Car Robots back in the day in Takara, and that's why I want to emphasize that, because car robots, they really emphasized the car, and we'll elaborate on that. And now we have a pre-paint for Legacy Evolution Shadow Striker, which is basically like a sort of Cyberverse homage, sort of an original RID homage. It's very confusing, but essentially, the original Shadow Striker toy was a repaint of RID Sideburn, and they decided to make Cyberverse Shadow Striker for Legacy Evolution a pre-paint of an inevitable Legacy Evolution or Legacy United Sideburn. One of the big problems is, for me, Sideburn's alt mode is everything. So I'm not a big car guy, but my favorite car is a Dodge Viper. And RID/Car Robots Sideburn is a Dodge Viper. Not just a Dodge Viper, but a blue Dodge Viper with flames. Now let me elaborate even further. When I was a kid, we had a Need for Speed game. I can't recall which exact version it was, but I always played as the blue Dodge Viper with flames. So the fact that there is a Transformer that is a blue Dodge Viper with flames, let me also say, this is one of the only figures in my collection that I keep in car mode. I keep him in car mode. That's why I'm starting this video in car mode, because he stays in car mode. This is his default state of being in my collection, because he's a Dodge Viper. What is this? What is this? This doesn't even resemble a Dodge Viper. This is a whatever car. This car is the literal definition of whatever. Like, it looks so bland and boxy and doesn't really have any unique shape to it. This car is such a downgrade from a Dodge Viper. I mean, I love the shapes of Dodge Vipers. I love how it almost has this hourglass look. This is a box. This is such a disgrace to the original Dodge Viper alt mode. And typically, I'm not too worried about the fact that modern Transformers, except for Studio Series, don't have licensed vehicles. But it would have been nice if they at least made an attempt to kind of make it look like a Dodge Viper. But no, they made zero attempt whatsoever. This has no resemblance to a Dodge Viper. And for me, that is horribly disappointing and absolutely turns me off from a Sideburn repaint. Because, you know, I don't need this toy again. Shadow Striker is a completely new character to my collection, and I like this toy as Shadow Striker, and I like this toy as Sideburn. This Sideburn toy is also notorious for not being the easiest to transform, and I've not transformed it in a while, so we'll see how that goes. But I figured I'd start off in the vehicle modes because, you know, I haven't transformed this guy in a while, and figured I might as well. But we can see there is quite the difference in these vehicles. Looking underneath Shadow Striker, we can see, like, there's the legs. There's, like, this weird spine that, like, extends throughout the entire toy. Then looking underneath here, it's like, here's an arm, here's the head, here's the legs just back here. Where's the other arm? I don't know. I don't even remember. This is a very weird, complex one. But it has rubber tires. It has actual rubber tires and actual pinned wheels and chrome rims. And it's got this chrome, like, engine block. Again, car robots. They wanted to emphasize the car. And I think they did a great job of doing that. One funny thing, I'm pretty sure that's going to end up being, like, the crotch. And the crotch on the new one, I'm pretty sure, ends up right there. Because you can see it's kind of like a similar shape. So that's very interesting how much different this transformation is. But they really did have to change the transformation. Because this one's kind of a doozy. Should we go ahead? Should we go ahead and do it? Let's go ahead and do it. Alright, so I'm just going to start opening things up and seeing what we get. It has been a while since I've transformed this guy. It has been quite a while. I do know that's like on a ball joint up there. This is the arm. Oh, I forgot the wheel's like attached to the arm. That's so odd. Like, how do we get that off? I love the chest on this guy, though. It's really cool looking. So maybe... How do we spread this out? What are we doing? Come on, Sideburn, work with me. There we go. Sometimes when you're transforming figures, you're so careful not to, like, break anything that you just end up looking like a fool trying to transform it. This guy is very notorious for having just a lot of kibble. A lot of the car just kind of ends up in random spots. Essentially, you know, these are some of the first, like, car robots that Hasbro did, returning to car robots. Actually, technically Takara, because this was a Takara thing first. So a lot of the design philosophy of these were actually based on Beast Wars Neo toys. So there's just tons of pieces that come off, tons of panels, tons of random things. Oh, there's the other arm. It's tucked down by the legs. And this other arm literally just has a big shell of the car just attached to it permanently. And then these are just going to form panels that just stick off the back. And then the legs, they're just very spindly, and they just flip down. And then we're going to flip the head up. There's just so much going on with this. Oh, but I think we want to move this first. Here, let's move this into position. There is so much going on with this toy. I do believe this wheel ends up on the inside. I believe so. Yeah, it does. So we're going to take this wheel, and it like recollapses into the body, and it's actually kind of cool how it does that. So it just kind of goes back in, and you can actually see it poking out the back. That would be really cool to see something like that happen with a Transformers Prime RC, because RC's actual design has the wheel kind of tucked into the body. We're almost done. We're almost done. You can also kind of tell why I keep this toy in the vehicle mode, because once we get to this robot mode, and it's pretty much there, this is just on an armature of like hinges and panels. We can just do whatever with that. I typically just kind of, well, I typically don't do anything. I typically keep this in the vehicle mode. But I usually just kind of tuck it back there. It's like, oh, it's little wings or something. They look kind of neat, but they're just kind of back there. This is the back bumper of the car, and that just forms the gun. And this is the missile that formed, I believe, the like the smokestack. So this just kind of feeds in there. And here we go. Here is the original Robots in Disguise 2001, not 2015, Sideburn. In his very interesting robot mode. I actually do have all three of the Autobot brothers from RID. And I would say the robot mode, like robot mode wise, this is probably my least favorite. I love the colors, don't get me wrong. If you know me, blue's my favorite color, and the two-tone blues are fantastic. But this is an odd one. This is definitely an odd one. Alright, so we got him transformed. Let us do Shadow Striker. And Shadow Striker is very different. So there is really no other place to put this except for on the top. There are these big panels on the side that we untab, because it still kind of has like the whole skirt thing going on around the back. One thing, I have the window plugged onto the other arm, probably to make it more comparable. Oop, I just broke it. I didn't actually break it. But to probably make this a little bit more comparable to Sideburn, let's have this window shield on the other arm. You can remove it. It is like a separate accessory this time around, which I do appreciate. But we can still transform it, thankfully, by just keeping it there. And that's also something I appreciate. Again, the back of bumper is just a part that you can remove. And I was kind of surprised by that. I'm like, really? We're still doing that? Let's take the legs, unplug the feet that are actually very tightly plugged in, and move these down. And we can see we're making some kind of progress here. The head does kind of end up in a very similar spot, kind of in the middle there, but it kind of, you know, is reversed, where the panel is covering the head on the underside instead of just kind of there. We can see that does form the crotch, so the figure is very, very flipped in a lot of ways. It still kind of has like a similar thing going on with the legs. I feel like this mold actually really does serve itself well as a feminine character. I really do. We're almost done, actually, thankfully. Thankfully, we just collapse all of that, and then these skirt pieces, they just chill back there, similar to the other one. You can have them flared out a little bit, you can just have them down. It's whatever you want to do. The window, the big old window shield ends up on the arm. And we can actually do the same thing with this as the other one if we want. Since it's Legacy Evolution, we can tab this in the arm. We can have it as like a weird club thing. But what I do, I just make it look like Sideburn. Take this bumper, plug it in, and it looks like the same kind of weird crossbow gun. So there is Shadow Striker in her robot mode. And seeing them side by side, you can definitely tell that Shadow Striker is a little bit more coherent. She does have a little bit more, like, togetherness. She doesn't have as many ball joints. That's one great thing I love about modern toy philosophy, is that there's not as many ball joints in the designs. Where in Beast Wars Neo, Beast Wars 2nd, there's a lot of ball joints. And car robots carried that design philosophy forward. It wasn't until Armada where they kind of started getting away from the ball joints and started doing like click hinges. So Sideburn is a specimen of ball joints and flaily bits, and I can absolutely see why children probably broke this thing or have missing pieces, because it's just all over the place. It's all over the place. But it's really cool. I really do like Sideburn still. So taking a closer look at his robot mode, I love the subtleties of the design here. I love the clear plastic integrated into this head sculpt. I love the silver face and the blues and the whites. There's a lot of different color going on in that head. The front bumper of the car is just kind of chilling on his shoulder. But again, you can see there's a lot of nice paint, even on the vehicle mode. There's a lot of nice paint because the headlights there were clear plastic. There's some silvers. They really wanted the vehicle mode to look nice. Sideburn does have a droopy head problem because his neck is on a ball joint, and I think mine is like a little stressed for whatever reason. I did get this guy used, so I think that's always been like that on my copy. We can shoot the missile, but we're not going to because I don't feel like it. I do love the chest, though. I love how the engine block is on the chest, and it just looks really cool with that metallic red and metallic silver. The big shield is very annoying and very large, but it still looks kind of cool, though. It's still kind of cool. I do like the Autobot symbol on the arm. So actually, I was mistaken. That is a part of the arm right there. That was not the crotch. The crotch is just that. That's what it is. But one cool thing, Shadow Striker actually still has that same little detail on the arm where it's got the Decepticon symbol there. So that's kind of cool. Almost looks like a tattoo. The legs, there's some hips, all right. There's some hips there. There's some thighs there. Typically, robots have thicker shins than thighs, but Sideburn's like, nah. I'm an all thigh boy. I'm an all thigh boy. So we can see it's got like the kind of like cream white plastic and then like white paint right there to kind of match it. I do love, again, the two-tone blues look really cool. I love the subtleties of the color differentiation. There was a lot more color into this than like, say, Shadow Striker. But still, it's just kind of a mess. Oh, it does have a little tiny gun. I forgot. He does have a little tiny gun back there. And that is actually the gun that Shadow Striker has. I totally forgot about that. So please forgive me that I'm only realizing that now, but that is that gun. So it's a nice little chromed out gun. I'm not going to worry about that because it's got the big like missile launcher gun that I typically always use. But it is nice that there's like storage back there for it. These things, they're just back there. That's just parts of the car. It is a nice figure, though. I might actually keep him in the robot mode for a while, because I haven't seen this robot mode in a while, so I might just keep him on display, and then whenever I feel like going through the mess of transforming him back again, I'll do that, if I'm missing that Dodge Viper mode that much. So let's go over his articulation. So his head's obviously on a ball joint. You get ball joint side of it. Ball joint at the shoulders, ball joint at this armor panel, ball joint at this shield panel, swivel at the bicep. He's got nice elbows because of the transformation. Nothing at the wrists. He does have a waist joint. He's got ball joints at the hips. Nothing at the thighs, but he's got a ball joint and a hinge at the knee there. And he's got ball joints at the feet. So his articulation is very 2001. And it's not necessarily a bad thing because he's got full posability. He's just ball joint heavy. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about like stability and, the fact that it is Sideburn from Robots in Disguise. And moving over to Shadow Striker, you can see that her silhouette is a lot different. So she still has like a lot of these little panels, like the big car shield and, you know, the bumper gun, but her shoulders are a lot less bulky. And I feel like it kind of helps for a character like this. Did I miss flipping that in? I feel like that's supposed to flip in. Yeah, okay, my bad. We're all good. Thankfully, I caught that before someone's like, oh, you forgot a step, blah, blah, blah. That's actually a nice little subtle transformation step, though, that little panel that flips in. But you can see her chest is very boxy. And that will carry over in the inevitable, like, Sideburn repaint. Still has the engine block there, though, which is really cool. I love the head sculpt, because I love Cyberverse Shadow Striker. I was kind of hoping for, like, a completely new mold that had, like, that asymmetrical, like, Frankenstein look to her. But I think this is a totally justified and understandable interpretation of the character that does go back to her origins as a Robots in Disguise Sideburn repaint. So I'm personally perfectly fine with this. It's a nice figure, you know. It's got some paint. It's got like some black at the shin where Sideburn had some white. It's got some black feet. It does have some, you know, black and purple at the thighs there. Her thighs aren't as bulky, thankfully, but you can still tell that she's got some bulk into the thighs. You know, the wheels are still there. I do like the little detail right there that I almost hid by missing a transformation step, a little bit of silver. One odd thing, though, is the shoulders are attached to the backpack. Thankfully, the backpack does tab in pretty well. I mean, you can hear that. That is tabbed in. But the shoulders are attached to that. So the shoulder articulation is very odd. Number one, it sits a little behind her head. So that's not 100% correct, but I've seen far worse, like shoulder displacement. I think the one that comes to mind is, what was it? Titanium Ultra Magnus. Oof. That one's shoulder placement is wild. But it still allows for articulation. It's just kind of different this time around. You have to kind of work with it in a little bit of a different way. Overall, it's looking cool. I do like the shield. I do like that it is a separate piece that is on like dual hinges, because I've actually been able to like get her in some cool poses where like the shield's kind of blocking her and she can like take the gun. She has wrist swivels now, so she can kind of, you know, look more protected, more blocked off. And you can get her in like a cool kneeling pose or something. I forgot for the transformation you have to like untab the knees. But yeah, she almost looks like a warrior, you know? Like that looks really cool. I like that. And these capes too, you can kind of get the capes out of the way, almost make her look a little bit more dynamic. It's neat. It's a really cool figure. I do enjoy this. But again, I enjoyed a Shadow Striker. I don't think I would enjoy this as Sideburn, because for me, Sideburn is all about the fact that he is a Dodge Viper. And this toy absolutely is not a Dodge Viper. I also do love the metallic right there in the arm. That's pretty subtle. All right, so her articulation, she's got a ball joint at the head. Definitely a lot tighter than Sideburn, thankfully. She's got universal shoulders, but keep in mind they're plugged in to the back, not to the side. So we have to kind of, the swivel gets us in and out, and the hinge gets us forward and back. So it's the other way around, but it still gets you pretty much all the range that you really need out of a shoulder. Bicep swivel, elbow bend, wrist swivel. She does have a waist, which is nice. She's got universal hips. And again, it's so nice that modern Transformers do not have many ball joints anymore. You can see the ankles are pretty nice. It's got a decent amount forward, and it's got some good tilt. So overall, Shadow Striker is a cool toy. I really like this Shadow Striker. But I just don't think I would like it as Sideburn, you know? I like Sideburn for Sideburn, and I like this as Shadow Striker. So will I get any repaints of this mold? Probably not. Probably not. I've already got the original RID Autobot Bros. You know, if they end up doing a new X-Brawn or a new Prowl, I might just get, you know, repaints of those and, like, have the new toys, but as different characters. So here we go, guys. Here's another old versus new in the books. This is a 22-year difference of engineering philosophies that we have on display here, and it definitely shows. You can see with the car robots, RID, Sideburn, that there's a lot of premium quality into the vehicle mode. It's got chrome, it's got rubber tires, it's got a lot more clear plastic to like make the headlights pop. The vehicle mode is superb, and it's a licensed Dodge Viper. However, the robot mode is basically just a robot folded up into a car, and all the car parts are just hanging off of him. Definitely not the best robot mode. I still really like it. It's, you know, classic early 2000s, late 90s Transformers toy design, but I can definitely see why it is not everybody's cup of tea, especially in the year 2023. However, Shadow Striker is definitely a 2023 toy. She's got pins, she's got hinges, she feels a lot more durable, a lot more solid, but unfortunately the vehicle mode is pretty much an afterthought. I mean, the transformation's good and everything, but it's not a Dodge Viper, and the look of it itself is just not very interesting. But the robot mode is definitely fun to pose. It's an awesome character to have in the collection. I mean, for pretty much everyone, this is our first Shadow Striker. For me, technically, this is my second, because they have that weird, like, Legends class Shadow Striker that was a repaint of Universe Wheelie, and I always just call that toy Dark Wheelie. I never acknowledge it as Shadow Striker, so I always kind of forget that's one I have. I might actually go back and get more repaints of the original RID Sideburn, because there's one that looks like Hot Rod, and that's really cool. I don't know. We'll see. I love Dodge Vipers, but we'll see. It's a very odd toy. I don't know how many of it I need. I've already got my favorite, the blue one with flames. It's not going to get any better than that. Alrighty, guys. There we go. Another old versus new has been said and done. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is like over episode 90 now. Maybe this is 91. We're getting there. We are definitely getting there. Maybe 92. I just know we're over 90 because I just published one today that was 89. So we're getting there. I don't know what I'll do for episode 100. We'll have to see on that one. Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much again for watching. Special shout out to channel members as always. Thank you all so much for the continued support. Have a great one, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.